code, which is mean that take calculated risks that quite different from being rushed. So the patent the patent suggests that the risk taking should be strategic and well thought out rather than reckless. So which means calculated risk involve analyzing, planning, and preparations to minimize the potential downside. For example, let's say the entrepreneurs launching a new product. I will see the launches a new product as the potential risk that you have to face in order for you to success. So let's say the entrepreneur launching a new product. So they must reach the market and develop a strategy before investing heavily. So which means that the avoiding risk completely can be dangerous in itself, and smart decision take a calculated risk by weighing potential reward and consequences. So in both business and life, success often comes from balancing costs with the boldness. Would like so this is how that we need to be aware of this risk calculated risk. So we need to be aware of this situation whereby the risk that we take actually is the calculated risk. We know that it happens, so what is the consequences to us? Okay, now what it mean by the risk? Does risk mean opportunity, threat, hazard, uncertainty, downside, some of the above, or all of the above? What do you mean? Some of the above or all of the above?
Yes. Hmm.
You think all of the above or some of the above? Opportunity, risk is mean opportunity, threat, hazard, uncertainty, upside, downside. Is it opportunity? Risk is opportunity or not?
No.
Risk is not the opportunity. Risk is about something, threat, hazard, uncertainty. Is it? This is what you mean? Or opportunity is something related with the risk or not? Yes or no?
Yes, maybe it is occurred alongside with the opportunity.
Okay. You're right, huh? Because when you understand about the risk, okay, let's say we look into this COVID-19. COVID-19 is a pandemic. Yeah, it will affect, it will affect any organization, but there is an opportunity for some business, some organization. For instance, like the glove, for instance, for medications, or the mass industry, so it's for them it's the opportunity. So there is the opportunity in terms of risk. So risk something's not, yeah, we understand something goes wrong, but how to fix that and how to take the opportunity out of it, which means your business last time you are focusing on, let's say, um, bring do a toys or whatever, and suddenly because of the COVID, you change your business to become selling mask, selling the the something related with the how to prevent the COVID. So it become uh, worse for others, but it become opportunity for the new business. So it could be opportunities. So all this information so that all of the above is the risk, related to the risk. Okay, now we look into the risk and uncertainty in terms of what is the risk, what is the certainty, and what is the uncertainty. Get clear all these terms. before we really understand what actually is about the risk. So these concepts actually are crucial in decision making, yeah, especially in business, project management, and daily life. Let's say with a certainty, yeah, certainty. Okay, all necessary information is available, making outcome predictable, which means that certainty means we have all the information we need to make a decision, and the outcome is predictable. We can predict all the decision. There is no surprise factors. Examples. Let's say we imagine you are boiling waters at 100 degrees Celsius, 100 Celsius. So 100 degrees Celsius. So the waters will definitely turn into steam. You don't have to guess. This is the certain outcome. Now let's move to the risk. Outcome can be predicted with confidence limit, allowing for informed decision making. So which means that risk happens when we do not know what's the exact outcome, but we have some information to predict. So we can assign probability to different results. So example, if you flick a coin, you don't know whether it will land a head or tails. So you have a coin gun, you do not know either you get the head or you get the tails, but you know the change is 50-50. This is calculated risk, which is in business and investor take risk based on data. For example, if your company want to launch a new product, so I like to give you a new product, you can see how the opportunity can get from this and how the impact will to the new product to the organization. You can look into different way of how you analyze the risk. So they might study market trend and customer demand to estimate whether the product will succeed. Finally, let's talk about uncertainty. So uncertainty, complete lack of information prevent probability assigns leading to unpredictable outcome. So uncertainty is different from the risk because we have no information at all about what will happen. We cannot assign probability or predict the outcome. So example, like imagine a company want to introduce a brand new technology that have never been tested before. So they do not know whether people will like it or not because there is no past data to refer to. So this is a situation of uncertainty. So in summarize, we can say that certainty, you know exactly what will happen. Risk, you do not know the outcome, but you can estimate the chances. Uncertainty, you have no information to predict the result. Understanding this concept help in making better decision and business investment and even everyday life. So, you have any questions so far?
Okay.
No, okay.
Okay, so you need to understand the risk, certainty, and uncertainty so that we try to understand what actually the definition of the risk management. Okay, now we go to back to basics. What is the risk? Actually, risk is the terms we often see in newspaper, business report, and everyday conversations. However, it may depend on who actually interpreting it. Different perspectives on risk. It depends on people who interpret. So let's say IT expert, for instance, IT expert. So see risk in terms of the cybersecurity threat and data breaches. If you look into the environmentalists, they are focused on the clients. Environmentalists, they are focused on climate change risk and environmental disaster. Banker, so actually they worry about the financial risk like loan default and stock market fluctuations. And if you look into the safety professional, they assess workplace hazard and decide preventions. So each expert view risk through the lens of their field. So that's why I say risk for everyone. So risk not only for risk departments, everyone is the risk. Everyone is the risk manager. So they need to manage their own risk. Okay, so so what about the unfamiliar with risk? Actually, um, people who don't have experience in risk management may find this different perspective confusing, which is they come from the completely different worlds, which risk is everywhere. So okay, risk is present in everywhere and all time. So regardless of how we define is risk exists in all aspects of life because of uncertainty and unpredictability. However, despite the different interpretation, all these perspectives belong to the same universe, the risk management universe. Nanti kita buat later on we try to understand what actually is the risk universe. Okay, so the okay the from this I just want you to know that risk is not just about one thing; it's various across fields. And then the expert analyze risk based on their specific area of knowledge. So if I work in the risk management, how do I know your risk? If I'm not expert on what you are doing. So that's why I only if I work in the risk management, I facilitate your risk and consolidate your risk uh, into our business strategic goal. But we did not know your risk because risk is for everyone. So. And then last but not least, you need also to be understanding different perspective help in better risk management. Now you can think of example of your daily life risk. Can you want to go to job, you want to go to school. So everyone, every day you are facing the risk, but you cannot avoid risk. You need to solve the risk. You need to manage risk, and some risk can be avoided, some cannot. Some you need to mitigate. If you can't, then you try to avoid. But very difficult to avoid all those risks, because you have to make a decision either you want to go or not. Okay, so risk actually is defines. Okay, so let's talk about something that affect all of us, whether in our personal life or in the business. Risk. Risk actually anything that can affect the achievement of a goal, whether big or small, positive or negative. It is natural part of the life. For example, we look into the good risk, which is investing a new business may lead to the high profit, but the risk we could fail. The bad risk actually not studying for exam may result in failures. That is the bad risk. If you not study, your result for exam will fail. So in order for you to, although we can identify, we can measure, and we can reduce risk, we can never completely eliminate them. It's very difficult to eliminate the risk. You need to have to resolve it. So actually, risk is everyday life. We deal with the risk all the time. Crossing the road, what else you do? Uh, that is the crossing the road also is that is the risk. Driving car, that is the risk. Starting a new job, also a risk. But is this situation we use strategic to reduce risk? Looking both ways before crossing, for instance, that in order for you to cross the road, what you need to reduce the risk is by looking both ways, which is before crossing the road. For driving a car to reduce the impact, so maybe you can wearing the seatbelt while driving. And for starting a new job, you need to researching a company before accepting a job offer. So when you receive a job offer, you need to validate the company actually is good or not, before you're changing the job. So the risk in organization, the need for risk management for organization, managing risk is a more complex. So there must have a formal process to handle the risk. This is called the risk management. Nampak tak? So can you see that? So if we're dealing with the risk, we try to find to solve them to reduce our risk. But when you talk about risk management for organization, actually managing risk is more complex. So they must have the formal process to handle the risk. They cannot like okay, you thought you do this, you can't. It should be documented. Because this is how you safeguard your people. So this is the call risk management, the structured approach to identify, assessing, and responding to risk effectively. So it's very important when we want to safeguard ourselves, right? In organization, if we dealing with our own life, we are do decision for us. But if we are working with the organization, our decision impact to the organization. So we cannot impact others because of our lack of management. So because of our decision, we cannot impact them. So therefore, we have to manage the risk properly, because our risk impact others as well. So you need to understand that for instance, that in order for a business, for example, have insurance, for instance, is to protect against financial loss. Uh, Conduct safety training actually is to prevent workplace accident and use cybersecurity measure to prevent hacking, for instance. So why it is important? Because understanding risk actually is us to make better decision, minimize negative impact, take advantage of the opportunities as well. Huh? So that's why we need to understand what actually is the risk is all about. Actually, it's risk to safeguard others as well, to safeguard of our decision as well. So that's why we need to manage risk. We don't want like blame each other after after something goes wrong, after finding from the internal auditors. We don't want to blame each other. We want to solve before it happens, or we want to mitigate, we want to reduce, we want to transfer those risks before it happens. So that's why we need to manage risk. If we did not manage risk, then we do not know how the risk can be handled. So okay, so now we look into the understanding about risk taking in learning, in learning and business. So risk is actually an essential part of both personal and professional growth. To succeed, we must learn how to take risk wisely. Let's break down into a few cases whereby we learn and growth require taking risks, which means that this means being risk savvy, not only IT savvy, risk savvy, or knowing when and how to take the risk is a way to promote progress. So without risk, there's no growth of innovation. And then second is to take one those risks where we can handle the potential loss, which is this is the known as the risk appetite. So this is the term, a few terms that you need to understand. What actually is the risk appetite? Risk appetite, risk, that is the common word in the risk universe, risk appetite, risk register. So all these terms actually are being used by the in understanding of the risk. And so take only those risks we can handle, which means from the potential, this is what we know as the risk appetite. Ingat, remember what actually is the risk appetite. So actually it's referred to the level of risk we can willing and able to accept without putting ourselves or our business in the serious trouble. Huh? Okay, so and then adjust risk, there are two significance to gamble with, which mean um, actually it's referred to relate to the impact. Some risks can have several consequences. So we need to find a way to manage or reduce them before taking actions. So accept that risk come with the possibility of failures. Last but not least, accept that the risk price of risk is responsibility of occasional failures or possibility of failures. So this called likelihood. So in risk management later on, in order for us to assess risk, we need to know the likelihood and impacts. So this is what we have to know. What actually is the likelihood? So uh, let's say, for example, that we know that every 2 years this accident happen. So the likelihood of this scenario whereby every 2 years this could be happen. And then we have to look into the risk parameter later on. So I will tell you what is the risk parameter in order you to identify, in order for you to assess your opinion risk later on for next subject, for next chapters with detail. Okay, so now every risk linked to the success and failure is sometimes part of the process. So however, learning from failure help improve future decisions. And then risk taking actually is necessary for progressing in business. So okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the last but not least, we have also risk taking, necessary for progress. Okay, in business, risk taking can involve investing, developing new product, or changing business progress. I think I miss. Let me see. Okay, it's okay. I think I missed part of risk taking. Okay, but it's okay. So this risk taking actually is the action help business grow and adapt to change. So um, so in summarize, we can say that
Excuse me, Doctor. 1 minute.
okay. So in summarize, we can say that calculated risk taking is is a crucial for success. Um, by understanding risk appetite, impact, and likelihood, individuals can and businesses can make informed decisions that lead to innovation and progress. So that is risk taking is important, sir. Okay, now in traditional understanding the risk traditionally, actually risk is seen since two main way, in traditional. Okay, risk as a decision under uncertainty. A cause of actions or inactions taken under condition of uncertainty. We do not know what actually will be exposed. So risks occur when a person or organization takes actions or chooses not to actions. You take action, risk will happen. You don't take an action, risk will happen also. So it's an uncertainty situation. You do not know. If you take action, it could be happen. If you don't take action, it could be happen. So the uncertainty. So this outcome is not guaranteed. And there is a fair possibility of loss or failures in trying to achieve a desired goal. So while you're going to achieve that. So example, like a company invests in new product, so there is a risk that the product may not sell well, leading to financial loss. So now we look into risk as the potential threat. So undesirable situation of the circumstances that likely to cause of harm or a loss. So when we look into the risk as the potential threat, risk can also refer to negative situation or event that may cause harm or losses. So this type of risk is often, some things that organization or individuals trying to identify and mitigate to avoid damage. So example, a company storing customer data online. A company, they're storing customer data online, face the risk of cyber attack, which could lead to data breaches and legal consequences. So I think we have recently, I think last year in Singapore also, they have a data breach about the hospital. So that is the hacker now is very creative and very smart to look into to try to find valuable data to be exposed and to be to get some reward out of it. Uh, so the risk is always present in decision making in life. It can either be a calculated step toward a goal, or a potential danger that need to be managed. So the key is to understand, assess, and respond to risk wisely to minimize losses and maximize opportunities. Okay, so now we look into the definitions of risk. Understand the definition of risk just now after we explain for how many hours, then we go back to the definition of risk. Okay, so risk can be defined in a various way. But all the definitions share a common theme, which is uncertainty and its a potential impact on the objective. So let's break down to the key definition. If you look into this general definition of risk, we can say that risk involves uncertainty about event and their outcome. So if this event occur, that could affect the organization goal either negative as a threat or positively as an opportunity. So the SPPIA. Okay, what is the ISPPIA? Actually, is the I is for international, S for standard, for the professional practice of internal auditing. Because I think why we look into the internal auditing because internal auditing actually is the final action
Doctor,
taken against.
excuse me,
Uh,
Dr. Radwan.
yeah.
Ayad, he waiting you. He sent request to join the request.
You cannot join the
waiting you to
class.
approve. Yes, he has a problem in internet, but now he waiting you to approve about join.
Oh, you cannot invite him join in. Can you try to do that?
I ask him now.
No, I mean, can you admit? You cannot.
No.
Can you admit him?
No,
You cannot. Can you try to accept? Cannot.
No.
You cannot.
Maybe
Only I.
maybe try
Only
again,
I
join
can.
again.
Because normally when others they can invite also. Can you try? Can you try admit him? I just want to test to try. Cannot. If you cannot, then I have to do lah.
1 minute.
You go to people. You go to people's,
وين؟
and then you just click right. Cannot.
أعودها من جديد، أعودها من جديد.
If cannot, then I have to do. No, if cannot, okay. I accept his joining. I admitting in. Normally, others member also can admit him if it outside. Huh? Okay. Okay. Okay, we start here. Okay, now we try to look into the ISPPIA definitions, International Standard for Professional Practice of Internal Auditing. Why internal auditing? Internal auditing, I think, is the pioneer associations that introduce risk management. So that's why we have to look into the risk on their perspective. For ISPPIA, actually risk is the possibility of event occurring that could impact the achievement of objective. So which means that is measured based on the impact, how several effect would be, and likelihood, the probability of it happen. Either the risk could be happen or could not be happen. And then according to the Turnbull definition, under Blake, Turnbull's, so risk, for him, risk refers to the chance of something happen or not happen that will affect business goal. Dia kata affect business goal. The highlight how uncertainty can help or hinder an organization objective. And then according to the ISO 31000, 2018, the latest one, or before this, 2007, the risk mentioned here is the risk that the effect of the uncertainty of business objective, of the business objective. So this can be positive as opportunity or negative threat, meaning risk is not always a bad. It also linked to the potential gain. So the define is uncertainty either positive or negative. So we can see that we cannot see risk as only for the threat because sometimes risk is opportunity for our business. Okay, so something that you need to understand is risk is unavoidable. So every organization face uncertainty. So not all risks are bad. So because some risks can lead to the new opportunity, and that effective risk management involve identifying, measuring, and responding to the risk to the protect and achieve business objectives. And that we want to try to achieve the business objective. What is the business objective? So then we have to look into our business vision. Later on, I will discuss on the framework, why they link the business vision, the vision of the organization, to the risk assessment. Okay, so understanding positive and negative risk. So risk actually often seen as something negative, but it also can also have a positive side. So when you look into the negative risk, actually a downside, we consider as a threat, which is these are uncertainty that could lead to the loss, harm, or damage. So example, like a company launching a new product, face the risk of failure if our customer do not accept it. So when we look into this positive risk, which is a downside, the opportunity. So these are the uncertainty that could lead to the benefit of reward. So example, the same new product launch could also be a great success leading to the increased revenue and market share. So the opportunity, just the flip side of risk or ataupun threat, or opportunity is not just the absence of threat. We often think that avoiding risk means creating opportunity, but this is not always true because harm is not, for example, harm is just the absence of the disease. So peace is not just absence of war. Happiness is not just about absence of sadness. So similarly, like opportunity, it's not just the absence of threat. Instead of risk management involve both minimizing threat and maximizing opportunity. So how do you know whether something is the risk or not in the risk to you? So you need to look into, does it affect your goal? What is your likelihood? Something have a change to happen. What is the impact to you? Is big enough to change your outcome, or it should be managed? So by understanding of the risk from the both perspectives, we can make informed decision to reduce threat and take advantage of the opportunities. Okay, now actually, what time that we shall have a break? 12 or 1 o'clock? Can we complete this chapter? Then we have a break. Is it okay?
Yes, yes, okay.
Okay.
I think only just 15 slides only, or 15. 15, not 50. To complete all the chapter. Introduction, this one only introduction. But in order for you to understand, it's easy when you understand the introduction first. And then the rest we can learn very fast. But you need to understand the introduction of what actually is the risk. Now we look into the negative risk or threat. Actually, it's the lower profitability, like bankruptcy, fraud, theft, inability to respond to disaster, natural earthquake, fire, floods. In the case of man-made, like act of terrorism, employee fraud, false financial reportings, regular traders, lawsuit, loss of reputation, or unethical behavior of management or employee. So positive risk equal to the opportunity, which means introducing a new product, strategic alliances, a low unemployment rate, economic project under budget, built to last long, engineering, best all competitor in terms of competitive, advanced in smart technology, positive supply chain. So that is the negative risk and positive risk, for example. Okay, this is the hierarchy of risk. So risk also has the hierarchy. So this one was taken by the issue report, Risk Improving Governance, Capability to Handle Risk Uncertainty, November 2002. It's quite now is almost 14 years, 24 years, but it's still valid somehow. I think it should be looked into the hierarchy of risk. Okay, so the hierarchy of risk, understanding different level of decision making. So risk exists at the different level within organization depending on the type of decision being made. So this level follow a hierarchy. So strategic risk, strategic decision, what it is. So high level of decision that shape the long-term directions of the organization. Example, we are expanding into a new market, or we merging with another company, or maybe we changing the company core business model. So the risk consideration, which is that we need to know is this risk have a broad and long-term impact affecting the overall success of the decision. Now the second one, we look into the program risk or decision transferring strategic into action. So what it is? So actually it's the median level of decision that turns strategic plan into practical program or initiative. So example, kita launching a company-wide cost-saving program, implementing a digital transformation plan, introduce a corporate sustainability initiative. And then the risk consideration that we need to consider is that this risk focus on ensuring the program is effective and aligned with the strategy. Last but not least is the project and operational risk, decision and implementations. Okay, So what it is, actually is a day-to-day decision that execute the program at operational and project level. Operational or project level, which means like managing a construction project, developing a new software system, or maybe hiring employees for new business unit. So the risk considerations that we need to overcome actually is to look into this risk focus on the practical execution and ensuring that happen as a plan, avoiding delay, cost overrun, or operational failure. So why this hierarchy of the risk important? And it actually is help organization identify risk at the different level and manage them appropriately. Yeah? Strategic risks have a long-term consequences, which project risks affect short-term execution. So affecting risk management require balancing on all these three levels, ensuring that strategic goal, program execution, and daily operation align by the understanding this hierarchy. Organization can make better decision and reduce uncertainty while maximizing opportunity. Okay, so this is the few words or terms that you must remember. Huh? You must remember this. What actually is about the inherent risk and residual risk? You need to understand this terminology, or you need to understand this meaning of the uh, terms of something which is about risk. When we talk about the inherent risk, you already understand. Oh, and then we just want you to find what is the residual risk. Then you understand what actually is the residual risk. So if you look into this definition, terminology, risk actually is arise from the uncertainty and inherent and conquer at the time. So inherent risk actually, this is the natural level of risk refer to underlying risk before any control applied to mitigate it. So before action be taken, this is the risk that could impact the organization or company. So it represents the raw exposure an organization face, whereby the residual risk, this is the risk that remain after an organization have implementation measure to manage or reduce it, even with the control in place and some level of risk will still exist. So, which means the risk still exists, but the action is already been taken by an organization, whereby inherent is a very is nothing touch, not do anything on the implementation part. So that is what we call inherent risk. So when we want to do the assessment, we should identify either the risk that we highlighted is inherent or residual. Residual means or action is already taken. Inherent means organization not aware about this risk and non-action be implemented. So changes changes the way of we see risk actually is the in traditionals managing view risk as the something negative, only focus on avoiding losses and preventing failures. However, modern risk management we see that recognize that the risk is not just about bad thing happening. It is also about good things not happening, which is missed opportunity. So by sharing this focus from just controlling risk to achieve managing risk and opportunity, company can find a new growth opportunity, make better decision and improve overall success. Okay, this is, for example, if individuals decide to set up a small taxi company, there will be several inherent risks in the business, such as no customer may call for a taxi. The vehicle may be involved in accidents. The local authority may refuse to grant an operating license. The radios may fail to operate. Customer may vandalize the taxi. Competitor may lower their price and force the business to close. So this is the potential of the inherent risk, which is no action yet been taken. So now you understand what I mean by the inherent risk and residual risk, or you want me to further explain?
That's okay.
Okay, so far understand. Okay. Now we look into the risk appetite. So I did explain what actually is this risk appetite just now. So understand risk appetite, what actually is the risk appetite, which is risk appetite refer to the level of the risk that organization is willing to accept, tolerate, or to be exposed to while pursuing its objective. In order to achieve company objective to a company accept this is the risk appetite. So it is defined how much uncertainty and the organization is comfortable handling before deciding that action is necessary to manage the risk. So the key aspect of the risk appetite is the variance between organizations based on their goal, industry, and overall strategy. So some organizations, such as banks or hospitals, have a low risk appetite because they deal with the sensitive financial or health-related matter. So others such as startup or investment firms may have the higher risk appetite as they are willing to take risk for greater reward. So what does risk appetite matter? This is because risk appetite actually help the organization balance between opportunity and threat. So if the company take too little risk, it might miss out potential growth. On the other hand, taking too much risk could be linked to the financial losses or operational failure. So let's see the example of whereby imagine we are food delivering company, like Food Panda, deciding whether to expand into a new city. So if the company have a low risk appetite, it might choose to expand only after conducting extensive market research and securing partnership. If it has a higher risk appetite, it might enter to the new city quickly, accepting the possible losses in the short term. So in conclusion, we can say that risk appetite is not about avoiding risk entirely. It's about making informed decision and how much risk the organization is willing to take to actions of its growth. Okay, risk tolerance. We know about the risk appetite, risk, inherent risk, residual risk. Now, what actually is the risk tolerance? So we need to understand the risk tolerance. What is the risk tolerance? So the risk tolerance refers to the amount of the risk that individual or organization or a client is willing to accept while working toward their goal. So while risk appetite define the overall willingness to take risk tolerance is more specific, determine how much variation from expected outcome is acceptable. So the key aspect of the risk tolerance, which is it varies between individuals and organizations. So based on their experiences, financial stability, and objective, some organization or individuals may be comfortable with the higher level of uncertainty, where others may prefer minimal risk exposure. So the risk tolerance is often measured, through a financial operational and strategic consideration in consideration. Example, let's say on the investment risk tolerance. Okay, for example, okay, let's say a young investor may have a high risk tolerance investing in stock with the potential of high returns despite market fluctuation. So, and then at the same time, uh, a retire, people who retire lah, may have a low risk tolerance, preferring safer investments like bonds to avoid losses. So this is the investment risk tolerance. Another example, we look into the business. Just now investment risk tolerance. Now we look into the example of business risk tolerance. Okay, let's say a business, a tech startup, company IT startup may have a high risk tolerance, investing heavily in innovation despite uncertainty returns. And then another example like government agency. Let's say a government agency may have a low risk tolerance, ensuring stability and compliance with risk strictly. So it doesn't mean that high or low, actually it depends on what kind of situation, what is risk tolerance that we expected for others. Like if you are very young, you might look into high risk. If you a bit older, then you think of something related to the retirement. So you want something to become lower. You don't want to take the high risk anymore. High risk, high pressure. Okay, now where is the risk? Risk is everywhere because it's come directly from unpredictabilities. This fact that we cannot fully understand or cannot everything's understand or control everything. We cannot control everything. Risk actually affects many areas of life, including personal circumstances. So risk related to the health and investment, insurance, and pensions. For example, unexpected illness could lead to financial strain, or investment may not provide expected return. In turn to society, risks that impact communities such as terrorism, economic downturns, and food safety issues. So, for instance, a global financial crisis can lead to the job losses and inflation. And then the third one actually is the example we look into the business. So risks related to the corporate governance, strategic financial compliance, of operations and business continuity. So, for example, a company may struggle if fail to comply with the regulation or if an economic slowdown and reduce customer demand. So since risk is unavoidable, individuals and business must learn to identify, assess, and manage risk effectively. So to minimize potential negative impact and take advantage of the opportunities. Okay, so where is risk? Risk is all around us. It is an unavoidable part of life. Every decision, actions, or event, emotion carries some level of risk. To live is to risk dying, which means every moment of life carrying uncertainty, from health risk to accidents, to loss in the risk appearing the fools. Expressing yourself might lead to embarrassments of criticisms, to hope, to risk despair. What we set expectation, there is always change to disappointment. To live is to risk not being loved in returns, which means opening a young heart to someone means accepting the possibility of rejections of break. So saying risk is the natural part of life. Managing is wisely allowed us to grow, learn, success despite uncertainty. Yeah? It is everywhere. So why people take risks? Definitely, people take risks for various reasons, including both rational and irrational motive also have. So, like say for profit, many risks are taken to achieve financial gain, such as investing in stock, starting a business, or entering a new market. Okay, risk. We take risk for reward. Some risks often personal or professional benefits like career advancements, innovation of gaining for new experience. And then we take risk for assignments. The trails of uncertainty drive people to engage in risk activity like extreme sport, uh, bumping, jumble bumping, or gambling itself. One that is the for assignments. And then in terms of benefit, we take risk for benefit. Risk can lead to the positive outcome, such as learning new skills, building resilience, or making meaningful like changes. And last but not least, stupidity, which means sometimes people take unnecessary or reckless risks due to a lack of knowledge, poor judgment, or impulsiveness. So understanding why people take risks help us better make decisions. So because we can balance potential gain with the positive lessons while managing uncertainty effectively. So understanding risks occur due to the specific cause and lead to the potential consequences. Risks happen as a result of a cause. Every risk has sources of trigger such as economic changes, natural disaster, or human error. If it happens, the probability, the likelihood of the risk occurring can vary from the low to high. Some risks are rare, while others are more frequent. So it will result in an actions of effects. If the risk occur, it will have the consequences, which can be positive opportunity or negative as a threat. By undertaking causes, probability, and impact, we can assess risk effectively and take steps to manage and mitigate them. So we can understand how to assess, but when go to the execution, how to start, you also don't know. So we have to learn. So with my practical experience, I know that not only academicians, not only in academic, that we need to understand those and mitigate. I will let you know how to manage your risk on in the real situations. Okay, so let's we look into the risk element. So understand the risk and its key elements very important. So the risk arises from uncertainty, meaning that whatever we make a decision, we must consider potential risk because we cannot predict the outcome with the absolute uncertainty. So with absolute certainty. To manage risk effectively, we need to evaluate three key areas, which is uh, I think it's a two elements, not the three key. The three key area are the severity and the impact, but I consider like two main elements, which is the likelihood. So this refer to how probability it is that certain event will occur. So either 50% will occur, 100% will occur, that is certain. Uncertainty maybe 95% confidence level. So it is the certain event will occur. So it could be something positive, such as achieving business goal, or something negative, blessings, a loss or failures. In terms of the severity or the impact, this measure how serious the consequences would be if the event happened. So some risks may have a minor effect, with other can be highly damaging to individual or business or society. So by assessing the likelihood and impact and severity, so individual and organization can make informed decision on how to manage, mitigate, and accept the risk. Okay, so this is the risk management. What to do? Can we eliminate risk? Can we avoid risk? So the person who risks nothing, does nothing, have nothing in nothing, and will be nothing. Nice nothing statement. Okay, so managing risk is something that everyone does. It is everybody business. What is the risk management? Okay, now before we understand, so now we understand, okay, we already understand what actually is the risk and what actually is the risk management. So risk management is a systematic process to identify, analyzing, and responding to the risk. So it involves identifying potential risks before they happen. So your assignment will have to look on the identification, risk identification. And then your second subtopic that you need to do for your individual assignment is analyzing the impact. Analyzing the impact. And then the third one is taking actions to minimize positive opportunity and to minimize negative consequences. Rather than reacting to the risk where they occur, risk management focus on the preparations and anticipating possible event and planning responses in advance. So this priority approach actually help individuals and organizations reduce losses and improve decision making and leading to better outcome. So when we look into the definition of the risk management is a proactive and ongoing process that involves identifying potential risks, assessing their impact and likelihood, controlling or mitigating risk, monitoring risk continuously, and reporting risk exposure. Even though controlling, monitoring, reporting look longer, but I think you can make it short for the last people. For Ayat, you need to do on these issues. Okay, on this topic. So it is structures and systematic approach to understand, evaluating, and responding to the risk. So this goal of the risk management is not only to reduce threat, but also to identify opportunity that can benefit organization or individuals. And then when look into the definitions, because they're starting with the before ISO 31000, there is a standard from the Australians and New Zealand's 4360 about risk management. So the risk management is continue according to them. Risk management as a continuous and systematic process designed to improve decision making. It consists of sequential steps that help organization identify, assess, and respond to the risk effectively according to the Australian New Zealand standard and risk management. So they're involved also in identifying potential risks, identifying and evaluating their likelihood and impact, tracking risk through appropriate strategies, and monitoring and communicating risk to shareholders. So these structures approach help organization minimize losses and maximize opportunity, ensuring resilient and uncertainty situation risk response strategy. So organizations typically respond to the risk using one of the more of the following strategy. Risk prevention, taking proactive measure to avoid risk occurrence, risk transfer, shifting the risk to another party through insurance, impact mitigation, which is reducing the severity of the consequences if the risk occur, and then risk acceptance, which means acknowledge sense and managing avoidable risk by implementing these strategic businesses can effectively navigate uncertainty. So protect the objective and seize the new opportunity. So if you look into this strategy, there is outlined for four strategy that we can manage our risk. We can respond to the risk: prevention, transfer, mitigation, and acceptance. But there is a few terms that we also can follow. Either you want to follow ISO 31000, they already highlighted this one, or you can follow with other previous study that normally use as the way how to managing risk. So that's all. Thank you for everyone. We complete for chapter 1. So you want to go for lunch now or prayer? We start prayer, I think, a bit late, about 1 o'clock. You want to continue on the chapter 2 or what? What your suggestion? You want to continue or you want to break first, then we continue later. I think, let me see how many slides for chapter 2. We already complete chapter 1 to understand about the risk. Chapter 2, actually, you are dealing with oops. Okay, chapter 2, I think it's not much also. It's about okay, we touched a bit about the chapter 2 is about risk management framework. Interesting part, but not so many, like introduction. Okay, any questions?
It's okay if you need it completed half hours, and after that we start 2:30, or I think this better.
Okay,
I don't
because
know.
I think it's not much either. We try to complete 5 chapter for today. So what we can not five for today, for 2 days, today and tomorrow. So now we are complete 1 chapters. So I think this evening we can complete 2 chapters. Tomorrow we can
Only
complete
until
another
5.
three
This
chapters.
the
Hmm?
second time only until 5.
After 5, let me see your schedule.
Until 5 or 5:30 only, not tonight.
Yeah, we don't have tonight. We have it
No, no, no,
tomorrow.
no. No, I'm talking about if we start 2, we have 3.5 hours only.
I check your schedule.
The case was 9 to 12:30, and after that break, and back again at 12 to 5:30.
Okay, so we come back at 2 until 5:30, is it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so 2 until 5:30, we try to complete either 1 chapter or 2 chapter, doesn't matter. Because we have another tomorrow. Tomorrow we start from 9 to 5:30 again. So we have enough time to complete 5 chapters for 2 days.
Okay.
Because the longer slide actually on the chapter 1. The rest of the chapter only half of the studies only.
Yes, yes. But if
Okay.
daily is
So
7 hours, maybe we can't understand all information.
now it's 12. Now it's 12:30 already, or no?
Yes,
It's
12:30.
12:30.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Now, okay, we go for lunch and pray. So we come back at 2 o'clock. Is it okay?
Okay, so.
So in this
Okay.
evening, we can after this we can see either we can complete 1 chapter or 2 chapters. But actually, it's not longer than Chapter 1. Chapter 1, very long.
Can you share the chapters in WhatsApp?
Okay. Now, where are you? At home or in the college?
No, no, home,
Or
home.
at home?
So home is okay lah. So you're not rushing,
Can you share the chapters, Doctor?
I will share the chapter 1 and 2
Okay,
through WhatsApp, Okay.
thank you.
See you later, So I start this recording.
2 o'clock, doctor, huh?
Yeah, 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay.
See you 2 o'clock.
See you. Okay, doctor.
So I just let